Joining us right now is Art Johnson, founder of SmartBe Wealth.
Art, here.
It's great to be here with you.
Yeah.
It's great to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, it's lovely to see you guys at this, helping advisors and getting them involved in, the trend towards Smart Beta and ETF and all the lovely things that are going on there. It's nice to have a conference in Canada. This used to be in the States, so that's great to see, right? So
absolutely, and it's a great time. It's a great time to be an advisor.
Yeah.
It's great to talk to you today because I think the subject that we're going to talk about is interesting, in that the sheer number of solutions and ETFs that are being launched today have really created a problem of overwhelm, some overwhelm.
Yeah.
Art, what are your thoughts on the amount of time that's required to get an advisor on board with these solutions? Like, some of them are quite complex.
Yeah.
Wrapping your head around it is one thing if you're a professional. Mm-hmm. The other half or the other 80% of the problem is once you start to develop an understanding, you also have to figure out what these solutions are, how they work, when to use them, when not to use them, and also which ones to avoid potentially. And that learning curve is quite steep and long. How do you see that process unfolding?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because I personally went through that journey myself. And the people at SmartBe, that's kind of what we're focused on. We talk about journey a lot. And it is a very difficult time for advisors. In talking with advisors, what shocked me the most is they're kind of under siege from everyone. These guys have run successful businesses for a long time, and all of a sudden they're being told run models and do this and go that way, and the regulators are making you this by everyone. Yeah. So in a sense, it almost sounds like everything they've done has been devalued in a sense. And they're really looking for, okay, well, if I have to do this, what do I got to do and what makes sense? And I can see the frustration when we're talking to people. I think the last thing they want a firm like us to do is come in and say, well, show us your model and we'll make it 20% better and, blah, blah, blah. That kind of was 5 years ago. I think what advisors are looking for now is, if I have to, maybe, there's obviously an interest. The data bears it out. The latest data on Smart Beta ETFs is there's a tremendous desire for advisors to use this stuff, right. But there's also like 46% of them are hesitant because they don't understand it as well as they should. So right. Empowering advisors and educating them in this space is critical. Some of the things that they should be doing are looking for providers that have really good, strong academia backgrounds, to bridge academic thought with the advisors. And we think that's the most powerful way to do it, because right. It's peer reviewed, it's substantial to the process. I think it's substantial for the advisor to get the confidence that if they're going to take on a new solution, there's actually guardrails and academic thought that help them a lot. Right. Not just a company that's thought up some factors and kind of smushed things together, and some of them are okay and some of them are not. It's a very different process when you're running multi-factor portfolios. The other thing I think is advisors
the advisors wear so many hats, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
They're doing so many jobs. They're doing so many professions and tasks within the realm of their practice.
Exactly.
And what they're always short on is time.
Correct.
Right? So the outcome is that when you go through this process, this learning curve, and you come out at the other end, mm-hmm. The ultimate outcome, the benefit, is that you're freed up to do more essential, to have the time, the available time to do other things that are essential to your relationship with your clients.
And also your value isn't diminished. I think the essential question the advisor is saying is, if I'm not in charge of this, is my value diminished? And I think really the learning and the education process I'd like to take advisors on is, no, actually, these things will actually make your business more scalable and more efficient, and you'll also add more value through education. And you'll actually have a much better experience for your customers. And that's what they really want.
But you come out at the other end working smarter.
Yeah, exactly. They're true fiduciaries
smarter
at that
as well,
point.
But working smarter.
Correct.
Definitely, and that's where the scalability comes in.
Yeah.
How do you go from having $50 or $100 million in assets under administration to being able to do exactly the same amount of work with 500 million.
And have a consistent philosophy.
Yeah.
If your philosophy is only that I want to be a discretionary advisor, that's not a philosophy.
And even that is a very long process.
You have to have basically, if I'm going to be a discretionary advisor, what am I going to be? And I think having a market approach and then a smart beta approach is a very easy philosophy to talk to clients. And I think taking guys through that is a very good process. I know
it's a valuable process. How many advisors are out there who actually want to transition away from transactional to a fee-based model, and they don't have a process or a line of thinking that they can sink their teeth into and do this wholeheartedly? I mean,
and I think, Pierre, you have to, before process, you have to land on a philosophy.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that we try to get to in our conversations with advisor. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? and I think the benefit of the new tools and all of these new approaches is that advisors can actually become true fiduciaries and build the scale and the competency and then have consistent outcomes all along the path for their clients. So back to this journey concept, it's a very important decision to kind of land on who you want to be, because it's a hard decision. I just talked to one of my friends.
But guys have you've gone through it.
Yes.
You've taken a lot of others through it. You have a process, and that's really the value that you can bring to the relationship with.
I mean, put our ETF aside. What our company really is about is taking advisors through this transition.
Right.
From I've decided to be a fiduciary, I've decided maybe to look at ETFs. Now I've decided to actually build a scalable, efficient process through this, and then I'm going to need tools and concepts and all different pieces to talk to my clients at various stages that are curated for me. So we will have all sorts of tools for them to do that. We've been through that process. Do you start with your small guys, big guys, all of those things?
Art, what percentage of advisors would you speculate have gone through this process, muddling through it, and sort of taking shots in the dark and just sort of, moving through this dark room of unknown challenges and of transitioning to a fee-based model? I'm not talking about the ones that you've actually, what was it like when you did it?
Well, I can tell you right now, very few advisors are 100% discretionary.
Right.
Most are kind of stuck in what I would suggest is not a good place. Having a third to a half of your book in discretionary and then still having transaction clients. It's a very disjointed business model. And I can tell you the guys that are stuck there are trying to get out of it. I was fortunate that I had a company like ours out of the US that helped us through that transition. And what it did was accelerate us to that point.
And ultimately, you want to do the same.
100%. We want to do that in ETFs in Canada.
You want to pay it forward. You want to take advisors now under your wing.
I cannot tell you how many times that I spoke to my wife about factor investing. I used probably 80,000 different definitions on that poor lady. And so if we can take the advisors through that process faster, it's fantastic. I also believe there are tremendous benefits. There's some new research out of Harvard that says that the customer is actually very interested in advice from the algorithm. I think advisors think that if they go and have an algorithm do the work for them, that their value proposition will go away. But actually the evidence is exactly the opposite.
Well, they're probably mistaking it for like a one-ticket solution.
Correct.
Right? When in fact what's attractive about algorithms, assuming they're good, what's attractive about algorithms is that they alleviate the workload.
And they also alleviate the poor behavior.
Exactly.
Which the client loves.
Exactly. It takes the emotion out. It takes the subjective elements out of all the moving parts of making investment decisions.
And the value chain then goes to the advisor on picking the tool that works best for the client, analyzing it, understanding it in a way that other advisors who aren't in the space, that don't have that knowledge and empowerment to actually understand what's under the hood, that's a true value proposition. The client still wants the person to do the research and the analysis. They just really don't want them to do the implementation. And so when you think about Smart Beta, really it's an implementation tool more than, I guess, a smart tool in a lot of senses. But where the smart comes in is really on the consistent rules-based implementation. Confucius created the golden rule. Moses had the 12 commandments, which are rules. Rules are important, but we all hate rules. I mean, we hate them.
Right.
So the problem is if we don't use rules, we aim low, and our behavioral biases get in.
Yeah.
So when people talk about rules-based solutions, you should understand why you want them, what the problem is. The problem is if you're not using these for implementation, you're going to aim low, and your hair's going to be on fire. I know personally, I've been using this stuff for 12, 15 years, and I can tell you there were various times where I wanted to intercede and make some decision,
right.
And I was so thankful in the end I didn't, because the algorithm actually created the better solution. So if you're interested in better journeys for your clients and better outcomes, analyze rule-based solutions. Get to know your partner. Get to know who's going to be your partner through this journey through Smart Beta. It's a very important tool. And understand your customers want algorithms. They really do. They're using them in all of their lives now.
So at SmartBe, you guys are acting as a resource, as a guidance mechanism for the advisors that you're doing business with.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the part that's really sort of what was at the birth of your company.
Yeah, we really believed in empowering and educating, taking advisors through the journey that we did ourselves.
Yeah.
The company is we're a very small company, but everyone has extensive experience in actually constructing and taking advisors through factor-based portfolios and doing it ourselves. So you have people who are hands-on in the experience. And we think that's critical. And then what we do then is we have various transition stages for advisors and conferences where we bring in top academics they can learn from, impartial, not pitching our product. If you want to learn momentum, we'll bring in the top academics and momentum and value in these areas, because that's how we were taught. We were taught as an empowerment and education process. Make this about attraction, not a promotion for advisors. And we really want to help the Canadian advisors. We think there's a massive opportunity to be ETF friendly, and it's a massive deal for the clients too. So,
yeah, there certainly is. I think the fear is for advisors is that they fear that they have this maybe unfounded concern that the process, the algorithm, is something that's going to replace them.
Yes.
But on the contrary.
No, I would say 100% on the contrary.
On the contrary.
The advisor's best value is face-to-face, being a behavioral coach. Advisors now are challenged because of the pressure on fees to do more. They have to do financial planning. They have to do estate. They have to do all these things. The time to do that properly.
How else can they free up? How else can they free up their time?
Pierre.
Except to make it a process.
I will absolutely free up your time and give your clients better outcomes. That's what our guarantee is.
Yeah.
The other guarantee from our firm is, listen, we know this is tough. We know you're challenged right now. Everyone's telling you what to do. Unfortunately, the regulatory bodies are making you change to be a fiduciary. These tools are so suited to the fiduciary process, it's wonderful for advisors. Probably the best time to ever do it. Plus, it'll enhance your scale and efficiency. It's a win-win for everyone.
So, Art, in a nutshell, you're in a unique position to assist advisors in making that transition.
I believe so, and I believe in a really unique sense. We're a very small company, and that is exactly what the company was formed to. Build ETFs for human behavior. All of our ETFs are built on behavioral finance because we think that provides probably the easiest journey for retail clients. We put them together in a way that makes the journey very efficient and not hard for the advisor or the client to own. And then back that up with not only research, but various tools so the advisor can go to his client when they're having poor behavior and explain what's happening.
Right.
All of those things in tandem is to make the experience fantastic. So,
Art, thank you so much.
It's wonderful to talk to you guys, and thank you for being here. I think what you're doing for advisors is excellent. Canadian advisors need to get the word out that there's help out there in this space, and it's a wonderful transition. There's $700 billion coming in ETFs in the next 10 years. You should be a part of that. So.
That's absolutely right.
And I think you guys are doing a great job. So thank you,
Art.
Pierre.